What's cracking, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. New video. Today I'm gonna do a video, and it's gonna be about someone that it's surprising to me that a lot of people actually know about, right? And this guy, I'm gonna use his name because a lot of people know about him, and I think the story is intriguing. At least it is to me, right? Now, I've told stories about this individual several times. I don't think I've used his name before. But in the comment section, people knew exactly who I was talking about. Now, I didn't know this. Apparently, he wrote a book, and I've never read it. I'm not interested in reading it because I'm pretty sure a lot of times guys like that, when they write a book, their version of the story or their version of history is different than those of us that were around, right? One of the funniest stories, prison stories I have is of an individual playing football, and it was the Southerners gambling against the whites, flag football, and it was about this guy. Like I said, I'll say his name, Chunky, right? And as you can imagine from his name, Chunky was a fat boy, right? And the whites had just scored, and Chunky told everybody, "Hey, give me the ball." And it's like, "Give you the ball? For you, fat ass." And he was like, "I'm the one gambling, Holmes. When they kick the ball off, give me the ball." So they kick the ball off, and they give the ball to Chunky, and Chunky's running his fat ass down the field, right? And Chunky had on his flags, boxers, shoes, and socks. That was it. And the guy he was gambling was a white dude from Compton. Imagine that, a straight up wood from Compton named Joe, right? And Chunky, everybody was blocking everybody, boom, and lo and behold, Chunky's about to score a touchdown. And at about like halfway to the end zone, there's nobody that's going to catch him, but there's Joe. Joe was fast as fuck. Joe had to dive in order, that was his last chance to try to get the flag. And he dove, and you just heard a rip. And Chunky's boxers got ripped smooth off his body. And he kept running his fat ass to the end zone. Got a touchdown. Spiked the ball and everything, butt naked. Now he has flags on, shoes, and socks. The whole yard laughed. It was the whole yard. When I tell you the whole yard was laughing, even the cops were coming out of the program office, pointing and laughing with their hands on their knee. I mean, it was, and Chunky, because he and I were cool at that time. He was walking towards me, and he's like, "Hey, fool, hand me my shorts. My shorts are right there by your feet." I said, "Charlie, And he's like, "Come on, Holmes." And I said, "Nope, bend over and get them." And he did. Another story I told of Chunky, he was selling some dope for somebody on the yard. That was his hustle. Chunky didn't have a life sentence, but he was a hustler, man. I remember he was a hustler, but he was selling dope on the yard for a dude that I didn't like. And that's the story of Jimmy. When I talked about Jimmy, Jimmy was a good fucking solid wood, man, but he got in debt. And the guy that Chunky was selling for was an asshole. Jimmy always had stuff. And the guy Chunky was selling for could have been patient, but he was an asshole. And knowing that Chunky didn't have a life sentence, I think that's why he was pushing for him to whack Jimmy. Again, at the time, me and Chunky were very close. Very close. Kicked it together every day. That was, at the time, that was somebody I was really cool with. And so when he told me, like, hey, fool, I'm going to have to hit Jimmy, I said, I'm going with you, fool. We're going to kill this dude. We set up a plan to get him in the gym. It would have worked perfect. God works in mysterious ways, though. Out of nowhere, they decided they were going to take down the boxing ring in the gym. And because there was some metal under, that bolted stuff down, we couldn't get in the gym. That's where we were gonna move on Jimmy. So now we got to do it on the yard. Long story short, there, you guys, a lot of you guys watched the video. Chunky was supposed to hit him in the morning yard. Remember, this is not my hit. This is his. I'm going to assist him. But he has to engage him first. And once he does, we're on his ass, right? So he doesn't hit him first yard. I'm pissed. I said, man, what the fuck is wrong with you? Look at all the woods know now. And he said, second yard, we're hitting him first thing. I said, I'll sneak back out. Don't trip. Come out for second yard. I'm ready, Holmes. I'm pissed. I'm irritated. Like, come on, let's do this shit and get the fuck out of here. I see Chunky and I'm like, come on, Holmes, let's go. And he's like, what are you talking about? I said, what you mean, what am I talking about, Holmes? I said, let's go fucking hit this dude. And he's like, don't even trip on that, Holmes. He goes, I'm not even going to do it. I said, what you mean you ain't going to do it, Holmes? He said, I already told old boy handle his own business. I said, what? Even though I don't like the guy, what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong. You let him put dope in your hands, you're responsible for all payments and all things that come with it. He said, hey, you know how I've been waiting on my time? Again, he was short to the house. I said, yeah. He goes, I saw the counselor in between yard. And they said, I'm going home within 90 days. I said, homie, fuck 90 days, man. I said, you're going to come back. I said, for the next 90 days, you're going to have to look over your shoulder because you know that dude's going to go complain. Like, you owe him that. He said, man, fuck that vato. He can go do it himself. That was the beginning of the end of me being really cool with that dude. I told him straight out, hey, Holmes, we need to go do that right now. He said, nah. He goes, matter of fact, he even asked me, why don't you do it? I said, me? He said, yeah. He said, and I told him straight out, he don't owe you shit. He was right. I didn't like that dude. It wasn't my hotline, and I damn sure wasn't going to bail Chunky out when he decided he wasn't going to do what he was obligated to do. So from that day on, I kept distance. And he knew it. Because I told him, hey, Holmes, this is wrong, eh? For the rest of your career, you're going to have to look over your shoulder. And it's because you're not doing what you're supposed to do. So, like I said, I took a step back from him. Later, I want to say probably 30 to 45 days before he was expected to be released, him and his celly got all twacked out. Complete misunderstanding. I did a video on this one too. They thought another homie was trying to set him up and that the homie sent them a paper which was bleach to kill them. Wasn't what happened. The homie came back in late, I think it was yard crew or whatever, came back in late, asked to borrow their outfit, slammed. A middleman, a bulldog, was sent to go grab it and was gonna slam something himself and then give the outfit back to Chunky and his celly. The homie had just finished slamming and said, hey, let me clean it up. I haven't cleaned it up. He goes, I'll clean it. And the homie gave a little baggie with bleach in it and told him, hey, tell him to just hook it up with this. And the bulldog instead went and gave them the outfit and the little bag and said, hey, the homie said he was hooking you up. Something along those lines. Mix up the words. Probably didn't mean it intentionally. These dudes were like, oh, cool. He sent us a shot each. Put in the spoon and noticed, hey, this ain't breaking down right. And they smelled it and said, this shit's bleach. This motherfucker tried to kill us. Next day at yard, I don't know anything about this. I happen to be playing cards against the dude that sent the outfit and the bleach. He was on my left. I'm playing pinochle. I glance over and I see Chunky coming. I remember distinctly he was all in prison blues, which he never was. He always wore, shorts and a shirt and, or his boxers and a shirt, whatever. And I remember glancing over and seeing him and I was like, what the fuck's he dressed like that for? And then I looked back. And when I looked back, I caught the motion and I leaned back a little bit and Chunky whacked the dude in his neck. And my Sally was, I've told a lot of stories about him. Pacas, he was one of the main dudes on the yard. And so when this dude gets whacked, Chunky and his Sally kept walking. Chunky Sally was trailing in case this dude is a big dude. If he would have jumped up to fight Chunky off of him, his Sally, which was a fool, they were both going to whack the dog shit out of him. Right? So I see the setup. The dude that got hit told Chunky, hey, man, what the fuck? Chunky kept walking. Chunky Sally told him, man, shut the fuck up. And the dude immediately turned his attention to me because of who my Sally was. And he tells me, this is wrong, Holmes. Motherfuckers are going to pay for this. I said, I don't know what you're talking about. Because now I'm like, he's looking at me as a threat. Probably at the time thinking this motherfucker set me up. Got me to sit down and play pinochle so they can hit me. Wasn't the case. So Chunky didn't hit who he was supposed to hit. And then hits a guy based on a misunderstanding. He went for that one. Somebody told on Chunky. And it wasn't the victim. It was somebody, we all know who it was. Chunky goes to the back. He goes to Ad Seg. They want to put him in a cell with a legend. I'm not going to get into all the specifics, but Chunky was, because of who he was celled up with and the fact that he was short to the house, Chunky was given a lot of responsibilities. They were offered to him, and he accepted them. Then he got out on the streets and burned every fucking bridge. In all my years in prison, I never met an individual like that, where this dude would burn people. Other races, he would burn them. And there were whispers that he had a death wish. This motherfucker is a dead man walking. The things he's doing, he knows better. And I remember the shift in that dude. Somebody that he was very, very close to, had a lot of love and respect for him, was killed. While we're on the yard, he was on the streets and got killed. And from that day on, Chunky had become a different person. Still clowned around, still, hustling, doing his thing. But something had changed in him. And I remember that was the beginning of the whispers of, this Vato's going to get himself killed. Being young and loyal, I was still, at the time, this was before the Jimmy incident. I was just like, this motherfucker's a nut. But I don't know what it is to this day. But that's what happens. Sometimes people in there, man, I don't know. I'm just trying to give you guys a glimpse because, like I said, I've never read his book. People told me he wrote a book, and then I'm like, I'm not going to read that. I probably should. I probably could get content out of it because I'm pretty sure his version of events would be completely different than what they really were. You know, a lot of these guys like to make themselves look and sound better than what it really was. Their ego gets in the way when they're telling a story. I always say the truth is ugly enough. The truth was violent enough, brutal enough. There's no need to lie, because then those of us that were around to certain stories and have intimate details or personally witnessed everything, it's like, man, this book is a bunch of shit. But anyways, I wanted to tell this story because a few people have asked me about him. They you know, it's a fucking weird story, man. If I find the name of that book, maybe I will order it, because I want to see if he gives any explanation. He can't justify what he did. There's other things that he did later that I don't know anything about other than hearsay, right? But I guess, you know, with the passing of Josh and how it affects people's lives when you lose somebody, I guess that's why this story popped into my mind. Because like I said, I pretty much could pinpoint the day that he found out that somebody he really respected and admired was killed on the streets. From that day on, he became a different fucking person. That's my video for today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Everybody, please be safe, be smart, and tell the ones you love that you love them, man. I'm out of here.
Yeah. I'm speaking truth from the cell to the streets. Did 24 years, now I'm finally free. Eight strong standing, no chains on me. Ex-con, ex-gang, but my soul found peace. Taught by the struggle, pain made me wise. I seen homies fall, seen mothers cry. Now I'm here to teach what the system denies. From the darkness I rose, Tupac in my eyes. This channel ain't clout, it's the scars I show. Life lessons in these rhymes so the young ones know. Dubs on the mic, watch the wisdom grow. If you walk through the fire, let your spirit glow.
Welcome to Vario Liquors, home of the coldest beer in the 209. Chilled to a perfect 32 degrees. From mix and go drink kits to both classic and exotic spirits, we've got something for everyone. Visit us at 1870 Countryside Drive, Turlock, California. Catch you at the Vario.